Hello and good morning students. I welcome you all to yet another video lesson of our education subject. Today I'll be discussing with you all chapter 3 and the title of our chapter is Types and Agencies of Education. As usual, I want you to have your printed notes and your textbooks with you so that you can follow me up as I explain to you the lesson content. So let's go into the lesson. In this chapter, I'll just give you a brief introduction to the chapter, okay? So in this chapter, we will be discussing about different types and agencies of education. So what do you understand by, firstly, what do you understand by agencies, or what is the meaning of educational agency? Educational agency or meaning of educational agency means that it is a specialized institution or organizations that directly or indirectly exercises an educational influence on the child. So basically any type of education that a child receives from any kind of institution, okay, be it school, colleges, higher education, any type of institution or informal settings, etc., comes under the agencies of education. So in your textbook, they have given 3 different agencies of education. So there are 3 types of education, okay? One is formal education, informal education, and non-formal education. So in this chapter, we shall deal with schools and colleges as the formal agencies of education. Family and mass media like newspapers, radio, magazines, TV, etc. as the informal agencies of education in detail. We shall also discuss the objective and functions of non-formal agencies of education like open school, open university, distance education, etc. in details. And we shall also be studying about like NCRT, UGC, UNESCO as guiding agencies of education with their objective functions and style of functioning in detail. So let's look at the 3 types and agencies of education. Number 1 is formal education. What is formal education? Formal education is a structured and systematic form of learning, okay? So it is a system of education normally delivered by trained teachers with discipline in the classroom, in the school, in the colleges, higher education or university, etc. So basically, formal education is that education that is imparted with an aim, that is imparted with predetermined plans and objective. See, in the formal education, place and time is defined and there are certain rules and regulations to be followed by both the teacher and the students. So let me just cite an example that our school is a formal system of education because here we have to follow certain rules and regulations. We also have certain prescribed syllabus to us. We also have certain curriculum and the place and time is defined. You can't just come according to your wish and go as you like, right? There are certain rules and regulations to be followed. So school is a formal agency of education. So the sole aim of a formal system of education is to educate the child and give formal education. Formal education means the education that we receive in the school setting. So what are the agencies of formal education? Like I said earlier, school, colleges, and other educational institutions are major agencies of formal education. So in your textbooks, they have given different types of school, okay? Like we have pre-primary school, primary schools, we have middle school, we have secondary school, we have senior secondary school, we have boys school, we have girls schools, we have co-educational schools, day school, boarding schools, etc. And they have given in such details that I'm sure if you go through it once thoroughly, then you will be able to understand everything. So I want you to all to go to your textbooks and read the different types of school given in your textbook because you will be able to understand it very clearly. So here I just want to tell something about what is special schools, okay? What are special schools? So you might be a little bit confused on this topic because it is basically a new topic to us. So what are special schools? Special schools, these schools are also known as schools for the differently able children. So who are the differently able children? Differently able children are the children who are blind, deaf, dumb, mentally retarded, those type of children are known as differently able children. See, we human beings, we are not all alike, right? Some we have problems, and when these differently able children come to the normal formal setting, then it becomes hard for them to cope up with the normal curriculum that we follow. So there are special kind of schools for these differently able children. Okay, I don't know about in our district, but we have different kind of special schools in Kohima, Dimapur, etc. So later on, we will be studying in detail about what are special schools, or as you go to your higher studies, you'll be able to learn deeper into this context. But I'm just giving you a gist for what special schools are. So in your textbook, we have school for the blind, school for the deaf and the dumb, school for mentally retarded, etc. I also want you to go through this and understand it thoroughly. So moving on, let's look at the informal education. So what is informal education? Education received from agencies other than schools and colleges is called informal education. I hope you have understood that part. Informal education may take place anytime, anywhere, okay? So what are the agencies of informal education? Some of the agencies of informal education are family, mass media, different mass media like TV, radio, television, newspapers, internet, etc., playground, peer groups, social circle. All these are informal agencies of education. We might not have noticed because we might not have known the type of education that we are learning in informal setting, but this informal education plays a very crucial role in the education system, okay? Because informal education is a process in which a person keeps on learning throughout his life. In the first chapter, I've told you all that education is a lifelong process, right? So that lifelong process system comes under the informal education. Informal education is a process in which a person keeps on learning throughout his life. Informal education is very natural and it is very incidental, so you might not know clearly about what type of education you are receiving, but informal education in a way it changes our behavior. Or the type of culture, the type of values, the type of discipline, or many different types of values that you learn among your peer groups, among the family members. All these type of education are known as informal education. So what role does informal agencies play in education? The role of informal agencies in education, okay? So like I said, informal agencies they play a very major role in education process, okay? They have a very specific and exclusive functions to perform in their own way. Their function is not to impart education, okay? In the informal settings, their main function is not to impart education, but their educational influence is so strong that they continuously create behavioral change in individuals. So education is, like we all know, education is not schools and colleges alone, right? We have many type of education that we receive from our family, social gatherings, social groups, peer groups. Even when you are playing in the playground, you receive different kind of education. So education is not all schools and colleges alone. All experiences in a life of an individual is education, and it is educative. A child receives education by moving and living about in the community. For instance, family, like I said, family, churches, youth club, etc. All these, through all this, a child receives different kinds of informal education. Informal education is very important because it helps in the total development of the child. A child does not receive total development only through formal education, okay? But informal education helps in the total development of the child. Even if you get only formal education, but if you don't get informal education, then you have not attained the wholesome development, right? So informal education helps in the total development of the child. Let's look at the non-formal education. So now we have understood what is formal education, what is informal education. Now what is non-formal education? Non-formal education refers to that education that occurs outside the formal school system. See, non-formal education is between the formal and the informal types of education, okay? It is between them. It is regarded as the midway system of education, okay, because it is partly formal and partly informal. Partly formal because it also has a curriculum, it has different lesson plan, it have different kind of syllabus to be given to the learners. And it is also partly informal. Because why informal? Because you can receive non-formal education at your own convenient time, at your own convenient place, right? So it is also partly formal as well as partly informal. Partly formal because it is an organization, systematic education activity which is carried on outside the framework of systematic formal system. In the non-formal education, you don't need to come to the schools, you don't need to attend regular classes, okay? But you can receive education in your own convenient time and place. So it is partly formal. Non-formal education is often used interchangeably with terms such as community education, adult education, lifelong education, and second chance education. So, education in the non-formal education, it is given to a targeted group of people. Only those who want to receive education through non-formal is attained through non-formal system of education. There is only a targeted group of people and non-formal education, and they receive non-formal education. Now, what are the agencies of non-formal education? See, there are different agencies of non-formal education like open schools, open university, distance education, etc. So, let's look at open school. Open school is a non-formal agent of education. An open school provides an alternative to formal education system. Open school is very flexible in matters of curriculum, choices of subject available, etc. It utilizes medium of instruction. The medium of instruction or the medium of communication is multimedia, okay? Radio, TV, mails, etc. That is the medium of communication in open schools. It brings courses for those who have never had any formal education. In the open schools, you don't need to, even if you are disadvantaged and if you did not go to the formal system of education, then you can. Open school is an option for you, and you can educate yourself through this system of non-formal education. The subgroup of people such as school dropouts, working adults, housewives, people from socio-economic backgrounds, classes, and are the beneficiaries of open schools. So if you fall under any of this category, then you can avail the open school agencies of non-formal education. Let's look at Open University. What is Open University? Open University is open in three different ways. The learners are free to learn what they want and where they want, how they want, and when they want, how they want, and where they want. The main agent in this Open University is also multimedia. It is also somehow like open schools, okay? Just that Open University is for the higher education, and open schools is for the lower ones. Open University is a door of higher education to millions of aspiring students. It offers. In the Open University, education is also offered on part-time basis, okay? So it offers wide range of subjects in the curriculum. See, in the formal system of education, we have the prescribed curriculum and we have to go according to that, right? But in the Open University, you can choose any type of subjects you want, or you can choose any type of field you want to go, and you can receive knowledge education according to your choice. So Open University offers wide range of subjects in the curriculum. It is of great help to people living in remote areas. Remote areas means like villages, underdeveloped areas, or where you don't have access to educational institution, etc. It offers a great help to people living in remote areas. So you can avail the Open University. It provides vocational courses as well as technical courses. So what are vocational courses? Vocational courses are courses that are usually aimed at equipping students with practical skills, specialized career, and upgrade your skills. Vocational courses are such that it helps you to upgrade your skills, it helps you to improve your skills, and in the near future, it will help you to earn your livelihood. So that is in the Open University, vocational courses are also provided to the learners. And technical courses means example of technical courses are engineering, technology, design, business, and a wider field of study, etc. So in the Open University, both vocational courses as well as technical courses are available. One main big example of non-formal agencies of education. One main example is IGNOU. You must have all heard about what IGNOU is. IGNOU stands for Indira Gandhi National Open University. It was established in 1985 in Delhi. See, it is very famous for non-formal education, okay? Hundreds of students, including a good number of working teachers, get enrolled for the technical as well as higher education in IGNOU. So one main example of non-formal agencies of education is IGNOU. You can research more on that if you want to know, if you want to get a deeper understanding of what IGNOU is, then you can research on that. Moving on, let's look at distance education. Distance education is also known as correspondence education, independent education, home study, etc. It is known by different names. It differs from country to country, okay? But distance education is also known as correspondent education, independent education, home study, etc. In this system of education, it is a system of education where a school, university, or any other educational institution offer instruction partly or wholly through mail. So mail, we all know what mail is. Mail plays a key role in the distance education system. The individual who for any reasons like illness, poverty, who resides in the remote areas, who have family obligation, who have time constraints and could not avail the formal system of education, they can get their certificate or they can get their education through the distance education. Distance education or correspondence education is a boon for many people, okay? Boon mean it is a disadvantage for many people. For example, you have finished your college in the formal system of education. You have finished your college, let's just say in the arts stream, you have finished your college and you did a particular major on political science. But in the higher studies or in the MA, you want to pursue like another field of study, then while you are working as well as you can work as well as earn in distance education, okay? So the choices of subject is very wide in distance education. But all these open university, open schools and distance education, they have one major drawback, okay? What is the drawback? They have one major advantage, and that advantage is a disadvantage, I mean. That disadvantage is there is no close relationship between the teacher and the pupil because there is neither a regular class nor a regular teacher. So one major drawback of distance education is that there is no one-to-one interaction between the teacher and the pupil. The teacher, like if he want to give a particular lesson, then he will record the video and he will just keep it, and the students can watch it anytime he wants at any convenient place or anytime he wants. So there is never a close relationship between a teacher and the pupil, and it becomes difficult for the pupil to, if they have any queries, then it becomes difficult for him to interact with the teacher because there is no close relationship between them in this kind of agency. So that is one major disadvantage of open university, open schools, and distance education. So that is all for part 1 of our chapter 3, types and agencies of education. I'll see you all in the next class. Thank you.